Headlines of VTV News: seizing opportunities to promote fruit exports. Hà Giang Province launches drastic landslide relief efforts. And later on in our world news, U.S. personnel wounded in attack against base in Iraq.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to VTV News, broadcast live to you from Hanoi. You're with me, Lina Pham. Now, Costa Rican Minister of Foreign Trade Emmanuel Tova, empowered by the Costa Rican president on August the 5th, announced and handed over a diplomatic note to the Vietnamese Ministry of Industry and Trade, affirming its recognition of Vietnam as a market economy. The move made Costa Rica the 73rd country in the world to recognize Vietnam's market economy status. According to the MOIT, Costa Rica is a member of the World Trade Organization and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development that gathers the 38 most developed market economies in the world. The recognition reflects the achievements that Vietnam has made in the process of national development and integration into the world economy. At the same time, it will contribute to promoting the development of bilateral economic and trade relations between the two countries. Ho Chi Minh City is aiming for a minimum economic growth rate of 7.5% this year. To achieve this target, a number of strategic economic scenarios have been developed, focusing on overcoming existing bottlenecks to drive economic expansion. More in the following.
The Ho Chi Minh City Institute for Development Studies have proposed two growth scenarios, 7 to 7.5% and 7.5 to 8%, with a median target of 7.5%. To achieve this, city officials are focusing on resolving key issues such as public investment disbursement, capital absorption, and market expansion. Currently, the bottlenecks of 25 major public investment projects in the city are being removed.
We have several social and private investment projects that are currently stalled, and we're working hard to speed up the process of getting them back on track. So far, we've successfully resolved issues with 5 real estate projects. One notable example is the Hepsa High-Tech Park. If resolved, we could attract between 1.2 and 2 billion USD in investment.
To achieve an average growth rate of 8.5% for the 2026 to 2030 period, the city needs to attract $43.8 billion of investment. Excluding the urban railway project, the city needs at least $3.98 billion annually.
The city needs to double the amount of investment in the 2026-2030 period compared to the last medium term. The problem is where to source that investment. We are asking all relevant localities, departments, and branches to register their medium-term investment needs for the next period.
In the second half of the year, Ho Chi Minh City will host an investment promotion conference focusing on transportation, cultural, and social projects, including those in Thủ Đức City. Only projects with concrete plans will be considered. Meanwhile, the city's export reached $26.1 billion in the first 7 months, marking a 10.4% increase, but shows signs of slowing. Therefore, the chairman of City People's Committee has directed departments to complete public procurement by the third quarter.
The total export value of agricultural, forestry, and fishery products in the past 7 months reached more than $34 billion. Many items are considered bright spots, with rice exports reaching more than 5 million tons, worth more than $3.2 billion, an increase of more than 25% compared to the same period last year. Currently, many businesses are actively preparing for the rice market to gain momentum in the final months of the year.
Despite its short presence in Dong Thap, Mekong Food Company Limited has already become one of the top 4 exporting enterprises in Vietnam. Its main market is the Philippines, with about 80% of exports. For 2024, recognizing that Vietnam's main rice competitors, Thailand and India, are still facing numerous challenges, the company has set more ambitious targets.
By 2024, exports will increase to 600,000 tons, with a turnover of about $400 million.
Forecasts predict a global rice shortage of 7 million tons this year. While some countries restrict exports, others are increasing imports to build reserves. This creates opportunities for rice exporting countries such as Vietnam.
We have completely changed the structure to improve the quality of rice. Vietnamese rice is expensive. Countries still accept it. Our high price has value there.
From now on, we must promote the effectiveness of the association. We should strive to pursue industry linkages, which may help regulate prices. Selling price does not determine long-term profits. Costs must be sustainable.
The record-breaking rice export results are encouraging. However, this success also places the rice production value chain in a new context. It demands greater sensitivity from businesses, a more harmonious sharing of benefits among all participants in the chain, and a more flexible management approach.
Durian and mango are 2 agricultural products with excellent export potential this year. Enterprises, especially those in the Mekong Delta region, are seizing the opportunity to increase exports of these promising fruits.
Since the end of 2023, durian prices have continued to increase, reaching a record $6.37 kilogram. Notably, durian exports to China, the leading market for Vietnam's agricultural products, doubled in the first months of the year. This has caused durian exporting enterprises to focus on fully harnessing the potential of this popular specialty fruit.
We are very hopeful that in 2024, protocol between Vietnam and China will continue negotiations to grant the code for frozen goods.
Mangoes are also a strong export product, with an annual turnover of about $370 million. Recent mango shipments to demanding markets such as the United States, Australia, and South Korea signal positive growth.
As people expect, this event will contribute to the improvement of products, motivate people to produce quality products, and spread to other markets. Exporting mangoes to South Korea is part of a series of initiatives the local agricultural sector has signed with businesses. This will allow them to deploy the most effective supply chain, helping farmers as they convert crop structures and restructure agriculture.
According to economic experts, while global fluctuations and instability persist, they also create opportunities for individual enterprises and industries. The outlook for agricultural exports in the Mekong Delta is brighter, as enterprises have seized opportunities to expand their processing capacity, improve the quality of agricultural products for export, and generate substantial foreign currency for both the region and the country.
Seafood exports in July are estimated to have reached over $885 million, up 14% over the same period last year. This marks the highest export turnover since the beginning of the year, according to the Vietnam Association of Seafood Exporters and Producers, or VASEP. In the first 7 months of the year, Vietnam's seafood exports reached $5.28 billion, up 7% over the same period last year. Shrimp, pangasius, and tuna are items that have continuously recorded impressive growth rates. To combat illegal fishing, or IUU, Quảng Bình province has implemented coordinated solutions to end the 3 no fishing vessel situation: no registration, no license, and no inspection. Through the participation of all sectors and levels, the number of 3 no fishing vessels has been significantly reduced in a short time.
In Cảnh Dương Commune, Quảng Trạch District, there are more than 500 fishing vessels, of which more than 50 lack registrations, licenses, or inspections. Currently, the 19 remaining vessels are completing procedures.
The party and state, all levels and sectors, have paid attention and ended the three-no situation. This is a crucial issue for fishermen.
We've established teams to directly inspect the villages and the three-nose fishing vessels and organize conferences to support ship owners who do not meet the conditions.
Quảng Bình Province initially had 767 three-no vessels. To date, 746 have been granted complete documentation, while 21 are still in the process of completing procedures.
We work with local authorities to strictly inspect and control all vehicles commuting. We also educate and mobilize locals to register and complete procedures for their vessels.
We regularly monitor fishing vessels operating at sea and support fishermen with all procedures so that they can register for fishing vessel inspection.
According to the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Quảng Bình is a locality that has been performing well in efforts to eliminate three-nose vessels, helping fishermen maintain their livelihoods in compliance with the law.
In July, the Hanoi Stock Exchange organized 20 auctions for government bonds issued by the State Treasury, mobilizing more than $1.4 billion. The State Treasury called for bids with 5 terms, 5, 10, 15, 20, and 30 years. However, the winning bonds were mainly concentrated in the 10-year term, accounting for up to 82% of the total winning volume. Interest rates on government bonds in July showed a slight increase compared to the end of June. The average trading yield of government bonds issued by the State Treasury decreased most significantly in the 2-year and 3 to 5-year terms, while increasing most in the 7 to 10-year and 15-year terms. The overall average yield was about 2.88%. And before we move to the next part of VTV News, let's check out how the Vietnam dong is weighed against other currencies in the world market today. Coming up next, Hà Giang Province launches drastic landslide relief efforts. And locals share passion for traditional 5-tone music. From last night to this morning, Lai Châu, Sơn La, and Tuyên Quang provinces continue to experience heavy rainfall exceeding 100 millimeters. The water inflow to lakes continue to increase. At 11 a.m. on August the 6th, Hòa Bình hydropower plant opened its fourth floodgate. Currently, 4 major hydropower plants in the north, namely Hòa Bình, Tuyên Quang, Sơn La, and Thác Bà, are maintaining 13 flood discharge gates. Consequently, flood water will flow downstream, and the Red River's water level through Hanoi is expected to reach 5 meters on August the 7th, about 1.5 meters below warning level 1, before gradually receding. Heavy rain has also caused flooding and landslides in Hà Lan Commune, Chiêm Hóa District, Tuyên Quang Province. Fortunately, there were no casualties. In Quang Lâm Commune, Mường Nhé District, Điện Biên Province, a large crack appeared on a mountainside, posing a high risk of landslides and threatening 23 households in Hoi Lập village. Heavy rainfall is forecast to continue in the mountainous areas of the north this evening, with some places expecting over 80 millimeters of rain. After several days of heavy rain, the soil and rocks are saturated and softened, making landslides possible even after the rain stops. Now moving on to Lào Cai Provincial Police quickly mobilized forces to help residents in flooded communes move to safety following the hydropower plant's flood discharge due to the rapidly rising flood on the Chai River. Bắc Hà Hydropower Plant announced a flood discharge leading to a high risk of landslides on riverbanks and slopes and flooding in low-lying areas downstreams of the Chai River in the districts of Bắc Hà, Bảo Yên, and other riverside communes. Upon receiving this information, police forces in Bắc Hà and Bảo Yên districts swiftly mobilized local forces to assist people in flood-affected communes to move to safe areas. After days of continuous rain, Hà Giang province experienced severe landslides on Monday. Hoàng Su Phi district, known for its precarious terrain, was the hardest hit area. The landslide resulted in 1 death, 2 injuries, and significant property damage. Relief efforts began in earnest to repair post-disaster damages.
65 major landslides occurred on roads leading to 8 commune centers. Landslides also hit 50 locations along Provincial Road 177. Restoring traffic will require clearing nearly 200,000 cubic meters of soil and rock.
Many landslide sites still need to be cleared. Our excavator haven't been able to access heavily blocked areas. Some were impassable until multiple road clearing attempts.
The district has mobilized machinery from various companies, businesses, and residents to temporarily repair road damage and allow motorbikes to pass.
The amount of falling rocks was significant in multiple parts of the road. We had to make an emergency dispatch of machinery to quickly restore traffic. Nearby facilities were also hit by landslides.
Efforts are underway to evacuate residents living in high-risk areas to safer locations. Additionally, the heavy rain has damaged dozens of hectares of crops and flooded many fields, with initial damage estimates at around $79,000.
In recent days, the East Sea Dyke in the border section between Bạc Liêu and Sóc Trăng provinces in Vĩnh Trạch Đông Commune, Bạc Liêu City has been experiencing severe erosion. The dike could collapse at any moment. 2 landslides stretching over 100 meters have deeply eroded the dike's foundation. Local authorities have set up warning signs and prohibiting people from entering and exiting the landslide area to ensure safety. The commune police, militia, border guard, and local people are on duty to monitor the situation at the scene and promptly respond and handle any developments. The lack of protective forest in the landslide area means that high tides and large waves directly hitting the dike will cause increasingly severe erosion. The monsoon season poses the greatest danger as big waves can cause seawater to overflow the dike, flooding production areas and homes. Without sustainable solutions to protect the dike, this situation could seriously affect local households. Now moving on to other news, a project to save Sala from the brink of extinction is being implemented by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, or IUCN, under the sponsorship of the European Union. The project's goal is to find existing Sala, one of the rarest and most threatened mammals on the planet, and develop a roadmap for their preservation. In nearly 2 years, from October 2022 to July 2024, the project identified 55 areas between Nghệ An and Quảng Nam where Sala may still be present. Sala was first discovered in Vũ Quang National Park of Hà Tĩnh Province in 1992, causing a stir in the domestic and international conservation community. Known as the Asian unicorn, it is considered one of the world's rarest animals. Hanoi has recently prepared a dossier proposing the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism to recognize Westlake's craft of making lotus-scented tea as a national intangible cultural heritage listing. This will be an opportunity to preserve a rare lotus species as well as the traditional tea-making craft. Let's visit the Westlake area where artisans still preserve the quintessence of Hanoi.
Nguyễn Thị Dân is 101 years old this year, the oldest person in Quảng An, Tây Hồ. Every year, when the lotus season comes from June to August, her family gathers to brew lotus tea, also known as the most premium tea of time.
I have been selling lotus flowers since I was 20. I did it during the resistance war against the French and Americans. I'm the only one alive following this craft. To make 1 kilogram of tea, we need to harvest 100 lotuses. It takes months to brew them.
Hanoi has expanded growing areas for Bạch lotus, or sacred lotus, and established a dossier for the Westlake lotus tea making as a national intangible cultural heritage listing. The dossier includes the value of Bạch lotus, the tea making process, as well as many pieces of historical research, interviews with artisans, and findings on the potential for conservation and development of tea making.
When recognized as a national intangible cultural heritage, artisans will appreciate its values more. This is also a beautiful cultural feature in modern life.
Westlake currently has 18 small lakes with about 20 hectares of water surface area that can grow lotuses. But the rapid urbanization and pollution have caused the available lotus growing area to shrink. The recognition of Tây Hồ lotus tea making as a national intangible cultural heritage contributes to preserving the traditional profession in Hanoi.
Traditionally reserved for important ceremonies, five-tone music or ngũ âm remains vibrant and deeply captivating for the Khmer community in southern Vietnam. For many, becoming a member of a five-tone musical ensemble is a dream and a source of pride. As a result, local five-tone music classes have attracted a growing number of learners. They are enthusiastic not only because of the enchanting sounds and free tuition, but also because of the cherished values in their traditional music.
These workers really enjoy learning. They clock in for class at around 5 p.m. every day, even on weekends. They all want to preserve the essence of five-tone music and bring it to local festivals. I was beyond happy when my lessons came through. I do struggle a little when they can't understand what I say, but that doesn't stop me.
I'm not a natural at this, but I gave it my best shot. I really like it and want to become better at it.
I knew next to nothing about five-tone music before enrolling. I don't know how to play the instrument. I only follow what the instructor does. I don't even know if I'm doing it right.
Running this class was such a challenging task. It was somewhat easier to teach children because they are naturally fast learners. Construction workers are different because they have their own jobs to do outside of class. They can only attend after they finish work. It wasn't easy. I had to drill the basics into them step by step. I can only ease up a bit after they've managed to memorize the tone.
During the day, I work to bring food to the table. After sunset, I hold on to the instruments to bring me joy. What I learn will become a part of me and be handy when I need to perform. Once you've memorized something, you are not afraid of losing it.
Coming up next in our world news, U.S. personnel wounded in attack against base in Iraq. And Bangladesh awaits interim government in bid to resolve crisis. At least 5 U.S. personnel were injured in an attack against a military base in Iraq on Monday. The attack came as the Middle East braced for a possible new wave of attack following the assassination of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh last week. An Iraqi security source said that 2 rockets were fired at Ain al-Assad air base in western Iraq. It was unclear who was behind the attack. Last week, the U.S. carried out a strike in Iraq against individuals U.S. officials said were militants getting ready to launch drones and pose a threat to U.S. and coalition forces. Bangladesh military took control of the country on Tuesday, announcing the lifting of curfews to address ongoing mass protests. This announcement came just hours after Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina resigned and fled the country on Monday. The Bangladesh military said that offices, factories, schools, and colleges would reopen. Bangladesh Army Chief is set to meet with student protest leaders on Tuesday for negotiations. In response to the situation, the United Nations, the United States, and the European Union jointly called for a peaceful and orderly transition to democratic rule in Bangladesh. They also urged all parties to avoid further violence. Japanese stocks rebounded sharply in Tuesday's early trade after their worst single-day points decline in history. The Nikkei 225 briefly rose 10% or more than 3,000 points from the start of Tuesday's trading, beating the previous record of 2,677 set in October 1990. Investors are buying back shares after the Nikkei plummeted by 4,451 points on Monday. In South Korea, the benchmark Korea Composite Stock Price Index climbed as high as 5% after dropping by 9% on Monday. U.S. experts have recently stated that the U.S. economy is not at risk of a recession. These comments came as the U.S. stock market ended the first session of the week with all 3 major indices down. This downturn is driven by growing concerns over a potential recession following an underachieving July employment rate.
In response to concerns, some regional Fed officials reassure that the U.S. economy is not in a freefall. However, they caution that such an outcome is possible unless the Fed cuts rates soon. While July job numbers fell short of expectations and unemployment rose, organizations like Action Economics projects a 2.7% growth rate for the U.S. economy in 2024. This forecast indicates strong growth in the last 2 quarters. The recent dip in the job market suggests uneven growth rather than a downturn.
At this point, I don't think that we are in a recession. I think that we have definitely had some parts of our economy that are starting to slow down.
Meanwhile, some investors fear the Fed's delay in lowering interest rates could lead to an economic slowdown. Selling stocks might be a strategy to pressure the Fed into taking action.
The market's reaction today has been over-exaggerated and overdone. And the reason for that is that the Fed has stated that they are data dependent. We know that they have a bias towards cutting in September. They left that door open last week.
Consequently, many investors are reallocating their portfolios from technology stocks to smaller cap stocks in sectors like banking, finance, consumer goods, and healthcare, which are expected to benefit from anticipated interest rate cuts.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download the VTVgo app or tune in our YouTube channel. Goodbye for now.